West Coast beats banging.
Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. I am Talia Tees and welcome to the table. Tonight we're going to be talking about the Real Housewives of Potomac, Season 6, Episode 15. So let's go ahead and get talkative. So we open up and they're still at dinner and we're basically witnessing the aftermath of that really nasty argument that went down, especially between Chris and Candace and Ashley. So we're just kind of seeing, the remaining, footage, I guess, that they have. And Karen lets them know, if y'all want to get to be 58 and look as good as me, y'all gonna have to get better control over these ladies because this is a mess. And I would have to agree. I'm not saying that you should be, a complete slave to your husband or nothing like that. But when you are, getting to a point where you're embarrassing yourself and, you just basically need to be reeled in, I do feel like you need to just kind of stop and just listen to your husband. The same way that Candace felt that it was disrespectful for G to say some of the remarks that he made about Mia, I think that it's kind of disrespectful the way that Candace, defies her husband. And, when she's making a fool and he's trying to get her out of there so she can get calm into a better space, she's completely against it and allowed her husband to walk out alone and on his own. So, again, like Karen said, y'all need to get a little bit of a better grip on this. Now, meanwhile, we have Robin and Giselle. They're talking about their hotel accommodations and how the closest hotel only has like a 2.5-star rating, which is completely unacceptable. So the best hotel they could find is about 30 miles away. So they said they're going to go ahead and take it because it's better than being in that attic. So Wendy just kind of runs down the itinerary for the rest of the trip. And, she says in her confessional that although this might have been the trip from hell, she's not wasting that real good child care that they've already paid for. So she's going to try to make the best of it. I know that's right. So now we see them all getting back on the bus, and while they're on there, Candace is rubbing Chris's head, and Mia, because she just is so obnoxious, but she says, yeah, when F up, they gotta make up, and Candace, she wasn't feeling that at all because it's a little tense between the two. Karen then, she has this odd gesture with Robin or whatever, but she says in her confessional that, Robin is miserable and she really wishes that Juan would just come and just support her. Maybe if he would support her a little bit, she would stop hanging out with Giselle, who she feels is a very bad influence. She is something else. So then after that, G, he starts turning up, just acting a complete fool. And he goes on to tell them that, I ain't doing nothing when we get back because I'm getting my piece of ass. Because remember, he got her the G-Wagon. So he said, he's got to get his payback. So then they start talking about Chris and how he has a brown penis. Oh, Lord. So then they like, show it. I want to see it. I think Mia said, I want to see it. And why Chris start, pretending like he's going to actually take his pants off, to which everyone is completely mortified, by the way. But then he starts trying to take his pants off and letting everybody know how well endowed he is. And again, complete shock, terror, horror. Nobody wants to see that. But again, he's really trying to let them know because he said he ain't average. And Eddie, he is just so funny. Eddie cracks me up because he is just, you can tell he is just not used to these types of antics. So after it all kind of settles down, G continues on talking about how he want to see some pee popping and he just keeps saying pee popping. And Ashley then says that, at least with Michael, he knows how to behave himself when he's around people that he just met. And at this time, because, Bravo is so messy, they flash back to a time or a scene where Michael had just met the group and the people that were there, and he gets drunk. He starts trying to take his pants off so that he can go over the boat that they're apparently on. So girl, please save it. Michael definitely does not know how to behave himself, because he can't even keep his hands off other people's pants. So moving forward, they get home. Chris and Candace, they get in the room, and he basically lets her know that he's just kind of getting tired of all of this. He's tired of always having to be, at these points of contention with people, because she's always getting into it. And he said he felt like he was kind of making some headway with Ashley, and then you just kind of jumped in and kind of ruined it a little bit. And it's funny because, Candace starts saying, well, she took a turn and she said this and that. And Chris let her know, you played right into it. So regardless of whatever trap she set, you fell right for it. And it's just like, damn, why don't you see how she baits you? But nonetheless, Candace, she just goes on to just reiterate, I'm not even going to think about this anymore, even though she needles me. I'm done with it. It's GVO moving forward, and this will be my last outburst for the day. So then we see Robin and Giselle. They're back in their room, and Escalade comes in, and she basically explains that they're about to go and drive 30 miles. And Escalade's like, what? It's like midnight. Where are y'all about to go in the middle of the night? This is a city I don't even know. Y'all not familiar with. Mia hears the ruckus. So she comes out, and she too is like, really, are y'all about to go? And, with Giselle having that broke toe, she can't really carry everything. So they're kind of helping them get their bags down. And, it's just really kind of crazy because Giselle didn't at any point say anything to Wendy about it. And, she actually kind of makes a dig and says, I'm glad you guys care, because the host, she don't seem to care about nothing. But at the end of the day, we see Robin, she's coming down with her bags, and she's just further explaining that, for her, she doesn't feel that it's personal, but, it's men here. We need our own bathroom. Now, meanwhile, Eddie, they looking, in their bedroom out the window and watching them go out the door. And, Wendy, she says, they just need a moment. And Eddie's like, yeah. So anyway, everybody wakes up and they FaceTime, and, Karen and Ray FaceTime. Wendy and their cute little kids get the FaceTime. Mia, she's down in the kitchen with G, however, and she's just basically letting him know that, there has been a tremendous deficit in the luxury. She said when her and G go on vacation, it is completely laid out. So this is, some very, very skimpy accommodations. There was no one there to get her bags, no valet, but it is what it is. So her and G sit down, and he asks for more details about, specifically what happened yesterday and just the whole situation with Candace and what was going on. And Mia just basically said, I ain't really got a lot of words for that. Let's go ahead and check on these kids. So they FaceTime the kiddos, and they get to see Veronica, because remember, this is her first time really getting to watch the kids. And it seems like they might be cutting up a little bit. It sounds like the oldest boy stayed up all night. The little girl don't know if she's good or bad, but they're all safe and well. So that's good. So we see Ashley FaceTiming Michael. And, Michael, he's just a strange, peculiar man anyway, but he's talking about how he had a really bad night and how, Dean was just being a bad boy. And Ashley just kind of went on to say that she doesn't really like him calling, him bad, because he's not really bad. He just had a rough time. And she goes on further to state that, in her confessional, because their generations there's such a gap there, they have very different ideals when it comes to this whole parenting thing. And she's just really not at all comfortable, with the fact that, he's name calling their child. But anywho, Karen pulls Wendy to the side just to check on her and make sure she's okay, after the previous night. And, Wendy, she's tough. She says she good, but like Karen said, it wouldn't be Giselle or Robin to pull some type of antic. So it is what it is. So back in the kitchen, we see Mia. She's doing her smudging, trying to clear the bad energies and the bad spirits. And then we see Ashley FaceTime Giselle. So Giselle, she's laid up in the bed, talking about she already ate, but now she's back in the bed. And Karen jumps in and she calls Giselle out. And she's like, dang, you didn't even say anything. You just left. That's kind of rude. You could have said something to the hostess. So Giselle again says, well, hey, the host didn't say anything to us the whole time we've been there. So I really didn't feel like I needed to. So Wendy, she's in the hallway and she hears this. So she comes running in and she's like, you're lying. I came to your room. I welcomed you. And they give the flashback, and Wendy very much so did. And Giselle was like, well, at the end of the day, you're just angry. So after that, the call just basically ends, and they all end up in the kitchen and they all start trying to cook breakfast. And, Candace and Chris, they just a little sluggish because they've had too much to drink. Wendy, she goes on to ask Mia if she's okay about yesterday. And, she said she's good, but she is willing to, possibly entertain having a conversation with Candace. But she does really want to try to get to the root of why Candace always goes for the jugular. Because if you've been watching The Real Housewives of Potomac, you have to give it to Candace. She goes hard in the paint. Now, it might be, like I said, it might be some really offensive things that she says, but she will cut you down for little. It doesn't have to even be anything major. Candace is just completely savage when it comes to that. And I agree. I think it would be nice to kind of see that depth in Candace and get to the root of why you go so hard. Why can't you just fight normally? Why you always got to get to people's mamas and whatnot? But anyway, Ray gets there, and Candace, Karen, she about jumped out of her skin, seeing her man. And it's so cute just seeing them two just being so affectionate, especially, considering last year, like he didn't even want to say he loved her on camera. So this is really beautiful to just kind of see them come in full circle. Also, Karen says that she's happy that Ray's here because she thinks it might kind of change the tide a little bit. She thinks, the Black Bill Gates might be able to kind of put things into more of a positive perspective and change the vibe up. But then she goes on to let Ray know about, all the stuff that happened, that fight that happened in the kitchen with the salad tossing. And she, makes a little joke about how she don't even want to talk about tossing salad with Ray. But anywho, she goes on to talk about how nasty the dinner got. And, on top of all of these situations that occurred, Robin and Giselle decided to just leave, and it really just kind of put a damper on everything. And Ray, actually says he was a little shocked. He thought that, with everyone coming here and also bringing spouses, there would have been a little bit of an upswing. So he actually kind of seems a little disappointed, because he thought it would be more of a kumbaya situation. But anyway, everybody starts gathering up. Giselle and Robin, they make it back to the home, and they all start getting ready for this nice boat ride. Now, again, Candace and Chris is completely hungover. Like, Candace is like laying down on something, like a little couch or something, and she can't even get up. But that's what she get because she acted the fool last night. So, yes, you need to go ahead and experience that, babe. So when they all kind of meet up in the kitchen, they just kind of talking, giving everybody pleasantries. Good morning. How you doing, girl? You looking good and whatnot. So Giselle is sitting over there pissed because Wendy did not greet her, but she claims it's okay. So Ray comes in and, as we suspected, everybody's all excited to see him. He gets to meet, the people that he hasn't met, like Ascala and her husband. And when he gets over to Giselle's like, messing around with your wife, I broke my toe. And Ray was like, yeah, Karen, you broke her toe? How did you miss her neck? I thought that was so cute because, they be going at it. They be going at it. So they all get gathered up. They head to the boat, and it is so nice. Like, this thing has like a double deck, and It is so pretty. Everybody's taking pictures, taking in the nice scenery. And we see Skylar and Robin, they meet up at the bar and they start talking. So Robin just basically lets her know that, again, in terms of the situation, I don't think that this was personal. I just think that she didn't properly plan things out, because regardless of what was going on or who was going to be in that room, you didn't take into consideration the bathroom situation. So it was what it was. So Ascale then kind of lets her know that, I feel a little awkward because I actually am connecting with Wendy and I think she's actually cool. And I just, kind of feel like a conversation needs to be had to try to clear the air. And Robin just says, well, everything is a debate with her. So I'm really just not interested in going back and forth. And so Skylar was like, so are you going to just avoid her? And she's like, well, no, I'm not going to avoid her. I mean, we can, be around and, So then Skylar says, do you like her? And I really like when Skylar presses them out like this. Like, sometimes she's forgettable in some of these scenes, don't get me wrong. But on some of these, like, smaller groups, one-on-one settings, I really like the way she just gives these really direct questions to just get to the root of it. Like, come on, let's stop hemming and hawing, if you will. So she asked her, do you like her? And if you recall, last year, Wendy was new. And Robin and her really did connect well. They actually met up single, together. Their boys played with one another. And Robin actually had the nerve to say she feels she got it wrong. She feels that, maybe the person that she bonded with and connected with was not truly who she was. But Robin then reassures Skylar and lets her know, but at the end of the day, I don't want you to ever think that you cannot have your friendship with her. That's not going to affect anything, that has to do with us. So if you and her connect, that's okay, girl. Go ahead, do your thing. And, I'm not going to, ever try to get involved with that. And as Skylar said, oh, I know you won't. I just thought it was kind of funny because it kind of felt like she was checking her. Like, yeah, you ain't got to tell me. So at the top of the boat, where everybody, most of the cast is at, Mia was like, well, Wendy, I heard that you was a different person than what you was, this year from last year. And Wendy, you know how she gets sometimes. She got real big and bold, chest poked out, and was like, yes, I'm not the same person that I was last year, and nobody should. We all should be changing. It's like, okay, well. So then Robin and Skylar, they make their way back up there and they just cut to it. They just go ahead and just let them know, hey, this is what we up here talking about. So at the end of it, we kind of realize that Mia may have added a little yeast, like she always does, to what she said. And Robin just kind of explained, that's not what I said at all. I actually said that I didn't want to, really entertain this. So Mia, as usual, one thing you got to give Mia, she is accountable. But Mia, she goes, hey, well, I will own that. I might have got that wrong. But at the end of the day, you ladies do need to have some type of a discussion. Well, Robin is like, again, I ain't really trying to have no back and forth discussion with her because it just really doesn't go anywhere. So then Wendy decides to address Giselle and, basically Wendy just wanted her to know, look, I know you're upset about the accommodations and whatnot, but you have to understand that this home was booked before Giselle broke her toe. And the way in which we went about getting the room situation, had y'all been here in the beginning, you may not have necessarily even gotten that room. So this was not anything personal, and you need to quit taking it personal. So Robin, she jumps in and basically says she's not mad. I wasn't upset with it. I really don't need nothing from you. But there's men here pissing on the floor and I'm a germaphobe. So as soon as she said that, like, I immediately thought like, oh my God, you gonna say that with these men sitting right here and on cue, like all of them, Chris, Eddie, G, Ray, they all like, okay, who pissed on the bathroom floor? Like, we don't do that. So then, they continue back with the conversation and basically, like I said, Robin was like, I'm good. I really don't need nothing. And Giselle was like, well, I'm good with the situation too. And so Wendy was like, okay, well, I'm good too. Moving forward, next. And so she goes, always combative, always aggressive. And it's just like, here we go again, just like last year with Monique. Y'all did the same thing. And it's wild because Wendy really led the charge on the word aggressive as it related to Monique. And how it really is a stigma when you use that with black women. It doesn't have the same context when you call a black woman aggressive versus a non-black woman aggressive. Wendy was definitely up on that stage talking that, right? And it's now so funny to see Giselle's now using that word with her. So Wendy goes on to say, well, you're always a mean girl, always the bully. So, basically the men, they get up and leave because Robin is like, I know y'all don't even want to hear this. I can't even believe we doing this in front of these men or whatever. So they all get up, they leave, they go downstairs and they start a little game of spades, right? So then at the top, Mia, she actually sparks up a conversation with Candace, to which she apologizes and, says, hey, I shouldn't have been asking questions and I did not mean to hurt you. So Candace, starts crying like right off the bat and is like, Mia, it really didn't have anything to do with that. It was more so the comment about me being low budget, is what triggered me. And, she goes on to further elaborate that at this point, she's feeling away because she's insecure and unsure about what it is that she's doing. She feels scared. She wants to be respected, but she's just having a tough time navigating through this. And I think, anybody that's ever pursued a music career would relate. It's very unsure. And for her to say that, and Candace being as sensitive as she is, it was just a recipe for disaster. But Mia did tell her, well, I am going to watch the way that I handle you in that regard, because at the end of the day, I don't ever want to be the source of anybody's pain. So then Candace kind of takes the lead and the initiative to apologize about her mother and basically said that, hey, I didn't know the trauma. And I'm glad that Candace was big enough to admit that, because Karen tried to get her to do it in the moment, but she was still hyped. But I'm glad that she admits, hey, I do have a little egg on my face because I didn't know what was going on with your mother. And I am sorry for that. But then Mia, she kind of goes on a little further and kind of gives us a little more info, and we find out that her mother was locked up for 8 years. During that 8-year stint, both of her parents died and she missed it because she just couldn't be there in shackles. So she missed, paying respect to her mother and father, but she's been 10 years clean and sober. And the last thing that she wants is something petty to trigger her mother. And I feel her on that. I do. And at the end of the day, Candace again apologized and, they both agreed that, we're going to move differently moving forward. At that point, Ascale takes the time to kind of thank Wendy and, some of the ladies just kind of give her props on how beautiful it all is. And they all kind of gather up and get back on the bus to go home. Now on the bus ride home, G, because this man is just going to cause a scene regardless, right? So G notices that Ashley is in the corner nodding off and he's making fun of her because her mouth open. He said her head bouncing like a ball on the on the window. You know how it be when you real tired, right? So Ashley, she's not having it. She hears him and she's like, G, you got a warped idea of fun, and if you need somebody to talk to and play with, you need to talk to Mia. Okay. So G, he just keeps messing with her like, you look funny, and if I had known you was up, I honestly wouldn't have said it, but whatever, you look crazy or whatever. So Ashley, she basically says, look, I'm a new mom. I'm breastfeeding and breast pumping, and I got 2 boys at home and a household to run. If I need to get me a little shut eye on this bus, damn it, let me get my rest in peace, okay? So we see it all in and on the scenes. It looks like this little issue between G and Ashley is going to continue on into the next episode. So I definitely look forward to see how this trip is going to end. So please drop down in the comments and let me know what you thought. Please don't hesitate to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so that you always know when Talia is dropping that tea. Thank you all so much for listening. Have a wonderful week and be blessed. Thank you.